I think it's safe to say that Ananta has got to be one of the most anticipated video game releases, especially in the gacha space. And what's funny is that it's not even a gacha game anymore. Now, before we proceed further, we have to establish something very important. The reality is, most games are somewhat gacha games due to the normalization of microtransaction in AAA titles, all right? And the moment you have loot boxes, as in RNG to obtain certain items, yeah, that's kind of gacha. It's just that some add more to the whole RNG mechanics, the surprise mechanics. So in my opinion, as long as RNG based microtransactions like loot boxes, booster packs, what have you, are still being normalized and pushed as, let's just say, surprise mechanics in AAA titles or video games, really, the reality is all video games are becoming gacha games. It's just that some of these games are just more open and honest about it. Yes, we're predatory. We're trying to take advantage of a clear weakness in your life, which is you're alone, you're trying to cope with something, you want to feel some form of type of bonding. You can do that with your 2D anime baddie. There's just a little more open about it. Not good, obviously, the morality of it is definitely questionable, but at least you know what you're dealing with. If you enjoyed this type of content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to not miss any updates.
I guess I better go subscribe to VXB Gacha.
With that established, the fact that Ananta isn't your traditional gacha game doesn't necessarily mean we won't see some type of mechanics like this. And I hear the players that had access to the beta said, for example, that you can roll for skins, right? Which is fine. I mean, I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying that the gacha isn't completely gone. Let's call it for what it is. Also, something else to keep in mind that I do feel like the developers are starting to understand is just players are starting to get tired of the gacha, let's just say, system in all these anime free-to-play games. And Ananta is trying to do that very approach to take full advantage of this new rising sentiment within the space. Now, of course, there was another title that we've seen that has tried to do the same thing, Do It Not Abyss, but unfortunately failed to captivate the audience because the reality is when you look at Ananta, there's a lot to be hyped up about. Because you look at the vision, you look at what they're really trying to do, how big and the scale of the project is, it's clearly not the same as Do It Not Abyss, which clearly has come out rushed, unfinished. I mean, you can't even freaking swim in what is supposed to be a open world game, clearly leaving a lot to be desired. They just didn't have that juice, they didn't have that gas to have that hype that way. That's why they had to resort to just dropping the gacha completely and try to take advantage of the sentiment, which is good because a lot of us has tried to be supportive, have really given it a shot. But the fact is the games didn't deliver. And then you factor in the most recent controversy of the hacking and everything. Do It Not Abyss, unfortunately, just dies completely. Like no one is going to give it a shot. It's just gone, dead in the dust. And I'm really sad about that because I was really looking forward to that game. I think it has a lot of thematics that I genuinely enjoyed a lot. And now that we can somewhat safely say that this sentiment is being more and more present in the gacha space and is more established as a thing, I think we can safely say that we are anime fans first and gamers first before we are gacha enjoyers. Ultimately, the gacha system is something we have to deal with because of these games are free to play. So, and the only way to get my 2D anime baddie is through this system. So I guess I have to interact with it and navigate it accordingly, especially if you want to keep playing this game for a long period of time, which these games encourage you to do just that. Now, something caught my eye as to why I'm talking about this now is because we have good old Blazion that have given a somewhat very brave take over here, which is interesting to say the least. And I feel like really prompted me to think on some of the stuff I already talked about before, which I want to just expand upon. And I feel like this also could be somewhat of a decent type of conversation to have, especially considering how the space is shifting from full-on blatant gacha games to somewhat, let's just say, lessened presence of the gacha system within the game, but more so free-to-play, open world, more AAA, isn't as predatory as what we're experiencing right now. So if we go over here, this is a response to this tweet right here from good old Kaido. Man, this guy Kaido, shouts out to this guy, man. There will be no character gacha in Ananta. So there will be no gacha system 4 characters. All right, you can unlock characters. Now, how easily can we unlock characters is up to anybody's guess. I still believe I'm, a little skeptical here. It's me being a little bit careful. I think characters will still be able to be bought directly in the shop, kind of like Warframe. I think I really want to give an example of Warframe, because in Warframe, there's no gacha. You can just either unlock the character by playing the game, or you can buy them directly in the shop. It's one of the two. I feel like they're probably going to do this because it allows players that don't necessarily have time, which they know they're going to have a bunch of gacha players coming in. They don't want to go through the grind to get the characters they want. They want them now. The only way to get them now is through purchase. They're obviously going to allow them to have, let's just say, if you spend X amount of money, to immediately unlock the character. I would not be surprised to see that happen, but I digress. I could be completely off, and that would really give the characters a lot more value within the video game itself. Like, you have to work to keep unlocking these characters. That would be pretty cool, but we'll see. We'll see. In my opinion, they'll probably just put them in the shop, because it feels like they're leaving money on the table for not doing that. Because a lot of players, the reality is, they don't necessarily want to wait for stuff anymore. People in general don't want to wait for stuff anymore. People want stuff now. And that's something they're obviously going to take advantage of. That's a sentiment that's just very present. I mean, look at Amazon Prime. The game will be heavily monetized through skins instead of gacha. Thank God. All characters will be free, and each character will have different stories and gameplay. All right, so let's read what they said here. Since there's no so-called Sharagata and infinite great Ananta, I think that this kind of game is quite a challenging attempt. What is the purpose of losing character lotto? I think this is obviously a bad translation, but we're trying to make sense out of it. Mr. Ash, in this game, the player is developing a way of playing experience the life of the character as the main axis. In reality, you can experience one life, but in this game, you can enjoy as many different lives as there are characters. Yes, because as we've seen, you shift, like you're not always the MC, you are sometimes this girl, you are this guy, etc., etc. Right? Like you do have different lives and different approaches, different, let's just say, perspectives to the world of the video game. She's pretty cool, kind of like GTA 5. For all you GTA 5 players, you know exactly what they're talking about. In order to play the game of experiencing the life of the character, I want the player to freely choose the character and enjoy various lives. Therefore, I made it possible to get characters in a way that is not gacha. Now, see, this is very important. This is not gacha, but I'm pretty sure you can buy them directly. They're not saying they're not monetized. They're not going to monetize characters. They're not saying that. I think that's something to keep in mind. Is it going to be bad? I don't think so, because I think if you have the money and you're ready to just blow it on the character, you don't have time, more power to you, boy. But for other players, they can work and unlock the character. As long as the unlocking process isn't tedious, I feel like the game and this system will be a massive success. So we got good old Blazion on what prompted me to look at this stuff. He goes as follows. If Ananta wants to speedrun EOS like Do It Night Abyss, they better change their minds. Oh, snap. No gacha equals the game is gonna die. Shit, that is a brave take. Now let's expand on it. Do It Night Abyss on its current state. If a miracle doesn't happen, then DNA is finished. No, DNA is already finished. Let's make that perfectly clear. DNA is already dead. It's over. They're not gonna recapture the same spark and the same audience they once had. Sometimes you only have like 2 chances in certain things. After that, that's dead. Bad grind systems, no incentives of hyping new characters, and the malware situation, it's over. 100%. But why is Ananta all of a sudden, why are we projecting what happened with Do It Not Abyss on Ananta though? I'm confused. Okay, so he expanded on this. This is something I haven't read yet. So without further ado, let's get into it, because I think he expanded on it later. Obviously, we have some questions and he expanded on it later. I think he responded to a tweet here. Or the gacha players thinks having a gacha system will make the game successful. This is a good question from good old Falling Star here. Blazion responds, a live service game needs a reason to incentivize players to come back, and that's with FOMO. FOMO is fear of missing out. I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of players, even in gacha, don't give a fuck if they're gonna miss out on certain currency and stuff like that. Like, they just don't necessarily care. The one thing that really makes players come back is how interactive the world is, how immersed they are within the gaming experience they have with the video game. This is the necessary evil that everyone dislikes, but all gacha games have a reason that nobody wants to think why they have it in the first place. Of course we do. That's a predatory tactic that once you are immersed, it keeps you coming back. Of course. And here's the thing. A lot of the times, the gacha character is just a way for us to, let's just say, re-spark that initial spark we had when we first played the game. That's why a lot of players are now pre-registering to Ananta. One of the main reasons why players are now pre-registered for Ananta is because they've experienced NTE and they remembered what it feels like to play a brand new title, something completely fresh, not just recycling the spark again and again and again through getting the recent 2D anime baddie, right? I think that is a very important component. The reality is players look for that immersion, that passion, that spark that keeps you want more, that makes you want to keep coming back and play the game every single day. And whilst characters can definitely have a role in that, it's not enough of an incentive for players to want to keep coming back, unless they really like collecting the waifus, and that's a different type of player base. But for the most part, I feel like as normies playing these games, which are the silent majority in the space, I feel like players really look for something that is fun, something that is immersive, where they can spend a lot of time and passion on, instead of just a soulless, please just keep getting our characters bullcrap. And let's face it, also something else, a lot of us in the space that once we experience the gacha system, and since you can roll for free technically if you're free to play, we have a bit of a gambling addiction that is somewhat being exploited here. We're not going to pretend that we don't have it, but ultimately it's under control for the most part. Of course, if you have a gambling addiction, please get help. It's quite dangerous. DNA doesn't have FOMO. You can get any new character whenever you feel like grinding for it. That's good, like any original video game. If you take away the FOMO, then of course people won't care as much about grinding for new characters. Oh boy. So what he's saying is, since you're not gonna technically miss out on the character being available, why would you grind for it? Like you can just ignore it, like it's just there, right? Like, oh no, it's not like, oh shit, I gotta get this now or else it's just gonna disappear forever and I'm never gonna see that again. I need it now. That's a good point. Sure, I see the vision behind it, but why do we need to have that? If games like League of Legends, they just introduce a new champion and people can just pick up. People play that game for literally free, and it is one of the biggest, if not the biggest video game we've seen in recent times. What makes people come back every single day? What makes people log in each and every time? It's because they enjoy the gameplay loop. They enjoy the game. It's immersive, it's competitive. Now, obviously that is for the more competitive type of players, but other players, there's another type of players, which I feel like are getting more and more present within the gaming sphere as a whole. Players just want to have fun. People just want to sit there, immerse themselves in a world, build some stuff, it's like good old MMORPGs. Like you want to get a guild, you want to build a house, stuff like that. It's just people get to have like a different world where they can just experience different things, and games like this allow you to do that, and that is a already proven model that actually works, as long as, of course, once again we keep coming back, the game is enjoyable to the consumer. That is the most important part that really makes players keep coming back, because despite Genshin still being, for example, the most popular game right now, the fact that it has FOMO didn't stop players to just leave. Like, people left anyway because the game just wasn't doing it anymore. That's why people will drop it. And Genshin tends to keep having new blood and old blood leaving, and it keeps turning. Like a heart. This is so obvious. Whoever is upset at this is just caught up on their feelings over the fact that I'm not just saying, FOMO bad 60 IQ opinion. Shit's more nuanced than just that. It's not really. FOMO is a practice that sure can help developers fully monetize what they push out in terms of content more. And of course, for the uninitiated, for some players, yeah, sure, it helps them retain some of that attention to a certain degree. But we cannot sit here and say FOMO is the defining factor that will keep players keep coming back, because to me, when I read all this, like, it's like we need FOMO or else players are just gonna leave. No, it helps, but maybe instead of focusing on the FOMO, on predatory practices, make the game better, keep polishing it better, keep expanding the vision, introduce new stuff that will keep the players immersed again and again, instead of a predatory tactic that's obviously taking advantage of a huge social issue that men are dealing with. I don't know, man. I feel like this is the type of stuff we should be encouraging. Yes, FOMO can help Ananta in terms of monetization. Sure, no one can deny that. But it's not a must. It's not necessary for a game to succeed. And other AAA titles prove that. that. But of course, we're not gonna sit here and pretend that the skins and stuff like that isn't them also trying to take advantage of, you wanting to really make your 2D anime Betty be the best she can look like. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend otherwise. Of course, that's there's that anime waifu. There's a little bit of that there, of course, but at least it's not to the same extent of, in order to even obtain the character, you have to spend X or Y amount of money. You just go, you play the game, and by interacting with the game, the very thing you're already immersed in, you're already passionate about, you are rewarded for that by unlocking the new baddies and stuff like that, which I think is good. It's we're not completely out of the woods in terms of taking advantage of the male loneliness problem or the predatory problem. Of course not. They will have to do that regardless. But I feel like this is somewhat a toned down version of that I for one can appreciate as a step forward towards what I would love to see happen, which is kind of going back to a little bit, not completely, of course, going back a little bit to the good old days where microtransactions weren't as present and video games weren't this thing that really looked at social issues and tried to take advantage of them for profit. All right, I feel like video games is a great avenue for us to grow as individuals. They have a lot of powerful messages hiding behind the stories and stuff like that, and more importantly, they are a great common ground that a lot of us can meet in to it's a common ground. It's like we're already talking and we're already passionate about the same thing. That's the great groundwork for us to become friends, to be acquainted at least, etc., etc. That's just great. I feel like video games is just this amazing avenue, all in all, within let's just say our lives, really. So I just wanted to cover this real quick. I feel like Ananta is getting a lot more eyes on it right now, and I feel like as NTE players, I feel like we should keep an eye out, because that's kind of like the next evolution, if of course NTE doesn't step their game up, which I hope they do, because I would love to have NTE and Ananta in my roster of video games when it's game time, baby. And not just, I guess NTE just cashed in whatever they had to cash in, and before Ananta released, and they just dropped like fuck it. They're just there for the gambling addicts, and that's it. So I hope for that not to be the case. I feel like we should have more games and encourage developers to, let's just say, always expand and do better towards the consumer, instead of still encouraging the same practices. Because I do feel like something else I've already tackled before, and I just remembered again. I feel like also there's a little bit of the fear, because players have already, let's just say, developed the understanding and the knowledge on how to tackle the gacha system. And since they've already got the habit, I think habit is very key to remember here, since they've already developed the habit of having to deal with this type of system regardless, well, now they're just like, why can't we just do it like we always do it, because I'm already used to it. I feel like there's a little bit of that fear when I hear some of this post right here. There's like a little bit of that hiding somewhere in the lines, or maybe there's just me projecting a little bit, because I remember thinking this once where it's like, oh fuck, I guess I gotta learn how to unlock characters. Well shit, can't you? I already know how you unlock characters. It's through the gacha system, man. It's through the casino. Fuck. Now I gotta go and read up and shit. God damn it. The unknown, right? There's always that little fear of the unknown, but that's totally fine. That's just me going crazy. It's like, it's totally fine. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter. So it's just a little something there I threw there. Hopefully it's not just me over there. But if it's just me, then well, feel free to call this good old guy crazy. I called myself crazy for that one. But yeah, that's gonna be me, man. I think all in all, the game doesn't necessarily need that, and I feel like encouraging steps forward like this, where we lessen the amount of FOMO, the amount of predatory practices in video games, as we encourage free-to-play, big visions like Ananta, is definitely what we gamers should be voting for, and not the other way around. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Peace.